So, good afternoon to all of my Facebook followers and friends. My name is Valerie Kelly Bonner, but you also know me as Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, Straight Talk with Valerie, and the host of that show on 88.1 FM in Detroit. And I have with me on this evening Mr. Shri Thanedar, who you may recall had very catchy commercials when he was running for governor to get people to pronounce his name correctly. He actually agreed to have this interview with me on today. And I thought it was important to do so because there are I've heard a lot of talk like, well, he's not Black, he's not from Detroit, and all of these other things. So I wanted to put some of those myths aside and I wanted to have the opportunity to talk to you. So I want to thank you for taking time out, Shri, to have this discussion with me.
Well, good evening, Valerie. Thank you so much for having me on your show. And a good evening to all of your viewers on Facebook.
Well, thank you. So there's a lot of talk about you not being Black, you're not from the Black community and things of that nature, but you are an Indian-born American. And to me, that still classifies you as a minority. Now, I do have a few acquaintances that are Indians. One passed away, Chan Maraha, but I learned, you knew Chan? I saw you nod, yes.
I heard about him, yes.
Okay, so Chan Maraha was my landlord, and he really helped me launch this nonprofit that I run called SOAR. But being acquainted with him for the time that I was, I know that he came from very humble beginnings in India, that he was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Yes.
That he valued hard work,
yes.
That he valued his family, and he had a heart and a willingness to help people.
Yes.
So we're going to get into that a little bit more with you, but do you consider yourself a politician?
I am now. This is the second election I am entering into. But I'm a scientist. At heart, I am a scientist. I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, a master's degree in chemistry, and a PhD. And I am a business person, small business owner who knows how to create jobs. But at a later stage in my life, I decided that it's more important for me to give back, to work with people, help people. Because I've grown businesses, I've achieved financial success, my family is doing good. But I always felt that I need to give back. I need to help other people succeed. And that's what my mission is now.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you resided in Ann Arbor before. Is that correct?
For a short time, yes.
And then you moved to Detroit.
Yes.
Okay. So why did you choose to move to Detroit?
Well, look, I was not born in Ann Arbor. I did not go to school in Ann Arbor. I came to Ann Arbor to start a business back in 2010. But really, I have lived all across America. In 1979, I came to the United States, and I was 24 years old then. I am really an immigrant. I immigrated to the United States so that I can have better opportunities and I can help my family. When I was growing up, my family had a lot of financial issues. I grew up in poverty. And by coming to the United States, back then I was able to take up a little job teaching undergraduate students while I was working on my PhD. And I used to get about $300 a month as a stipend. And I would take $75 out of that, send it home so my mother could put food on the table. So that's how I started. I'm an immigrant and I have traveled all across America. But you know what? Last 3 years, I have spent a lot of time in Detroit. I have had a lot of conversations with people in the city of Detroit. And one thing I tell you, Valerie, nowhere, nowhere in America I got as much love, as much appreciation, as much warmth as I found in the city of Detroit. And
That's
then I decided I want to make Detroit my second home because in Detroit I found a home. In Detroit I felt a place similar, almost like the place I grew up, several thousand miles apart. But I felt that connection. I felt that emotional connection. And more importantly, the people of Detroit felt that emotional connection with me. They heard my story, they heard my struggle. And Detroit is all about struggle, ups and downs. Detroit, the city of Detroit, the people of Detroit have gone through uh, good times and have gone through bad times and have, successes and failures. And that's how my life has been. And we connected. I and the people of Detroit connected. And we connected so well that in the governor's race in 2018, I won the city of Detroit. There were three candidates, myself and Gretchen Whitmer included. And the people of Detroit chose me to be their governor. And I won city of Detroit in that primary with 37,000 votes. So I'm very grateful to Detroit. I'm very grateful to the love and the affection and the warmth that I have received in the city of Detroit. And I am ready to give back. I'm ready to make things better. And I'm going to work hard in Lansing to make things better for Detroit.
well, thank you. So that let me know why you wanted to run for a state rep. What qualifies you to be a state rep?
Well, so this is what I see a state rep's job is. It's a service job. You are hiring me to make quality of life better for all of the residents. This is running for election is to me like a job interview, and the people decide who they want to hire to help them, who they want to hire to serve them. This is a job about serving people. This is a job about understanding the problems that the citizens face, and then finding good solution through the government, through passing good bills, solving the problems, whether it is auto insurance or whether it is foreclosures, water shutoffs, fixing our education systems, creating opportunities for children for early childhood education. There is just a lot of issues that we all face, and it's important that you are able to go listen to people, understand, and then find good solutions through the legislative power, authority that we have in Lansing.
Great. What makes you better for this job?
Well, I'm a scientist. A scientist is somebody that looks at data. Facts are important. Making good decisions are important. Solving problems are important. And all my life, I have been a problem solver. All my life, I have been, able to deal with difficult situations and try to find a way out of that. And those are my skills. I'm a researcher. I can research a situation well. I'm very independent. I am unbought and unbossed. I'm putting my own money into this campaign. I did not take money from the lobbyists. I did not take money from the corporations. So I am an independent person, and I will be able to take independent decisions without being influenced by the people with money, people with power. I can truly serve the people of my district if I can be independent and if I can be unbossed and unbought. And that's who I am.
All right, you better say it. I like that. Unbought and unbossed. I will be using that. I
Thank
like that.
you. Mhm.
How does your upbringing shape who you are as an individual and as a leader?
Well, growing up, I realized that first of all, my uh, devotion and my duty was to my parents. And when my family was going through hardship, when I was in high school and when I was in college, I worked as a janitor. I cleaned floors, made a little bit of money, gave it to my mother so that she could raise our family. So I have always been that kind of a person, taking responsibility. I took responsibility for my brother's education. So I'm used to the struggles. I have been in the shoes of many Detroiters. Our city has 40% of our people live below the line of poverty. And I understand firsthand the pain and the suffering of poverty. And I know, the education was very helpful to me to come out of financial difficulties. And I want to make sure that our children get the best education that they can get to have a bright, a good future for our children. And I'm going to start that with early childhood education. And I'm going to make our schools better, make sure that Lansing, the government of Michigan, funds our school the right way.
I appreciate that. Especially the educational piece, because I truly understand that from kindergarten to third grade, you learn to read. And then from third grade beyond, you read to learn for the rest
Mhm.
of your life.
Yes.
I started a charter school with a friend, New Beginnings Academy in Ypsilanti,
Mhm.
and ran it for 17 years
Yes.
until my husband got deathly ill and I left the
Mhm.
school. Since then, the school has closed. But I definitely understand the quality of education. That school was founded on the premise of kids that needed individualized learning programs because
Mhm.
it's not a one size fit all. I don't care what the grade level content expectations are that come from the state of Michigan. Those things still have to be tailored down for each individual child. I also truly believe that having a parent teacher conference 3 months into the school year is too late. I
Mhm.
think expectations need to be set with parents from day one, and we're planning out what should happen in 3 months instead of in 3 months getting a report card and looking back at what did or did not happen. So I will say to you, when you're elected, I will certainly love to work with you on
Mhm.
that educational piece, bringing in all of the experience that I have. Even my master's thesis was around that subject. So I feel like I have a lot to share when
Mhm.
it comes to that, especially building that charter school from the ground up.
Mhm.
So I definitely, you have my word right here
Yeah.
on the live that I would love to work with you on that particular campaign.
Yes, and I would love to work with you. Education is the key. I see three things in Detroit, and that we need to tackle with. We have seen systemic racism over decades. We've seen a high degree of high level of poverty, and we've also seen, Governor Engler cut down on mental illness services. And since then, Michigan does not have enough mental illness services to its people. And what has happened is our prisons have become mental hospitals. There is underlying mental illness needs that are starting with high school and middle school. We don't have psychological counselors in our schools that can help the young children who may be having issues and who may have emotional or psychological issues that need help. And I think that's a part of the problem with all of our society, that we need to deal with poverty, we need to deal with mental illness, we need to deal with systemic racism, and we need to eliminate these before, so that we can lift all of our citizens and create opportunities and create a level playing field for all. And that's what something that I'm very passionate about.
I can agree with you 100% on that because I am the founder and executive director of an agency called SOAR. And
Mm-hmm.
SOAR stands for Strategies to Overcome Obstacles and Avoid Recidivism. And it
Mm-hmm.
started out as a prisoner reentry program. But as I aggregated the data down, I discovered that the problems began in fourth and fifth grade with these
Mm-hmm.
individuals. So
Yes.
to truly say that I'm a preventionist, then I have to stop the problem before it starts instead of intervening on it once it has exacerbated or morphed into something much larger than that. Since then, I've done, so that was long ago. Since then, I've done additional research and come across a different additional programming and ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, things that happen to a child in gestation.
Mm-hmm.
Have a heavy impact on their formative years and beyond. I
Mm-hmm.
can use myself as an example. I was born in 1964 in the height of the civil rights movement. So I was born in Sylacauga, Alabama. My mother learned to shoot a rifle from 5 years old on to protect the land that my great grandfather sharecropped to get, but it was becoming pretty valuable with pulpwood and other things being on the land. And so they went through a lot despite having melanated skin, just a lot because that pulpwood was behind a railway that led to Kimberly Clark where they made paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am very strong-willed. I'm a type A personality. I stand up for myself, have no problem defending other people. And I'm sure that is just like my mom, but also as a result of that, I battle with anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom had all of that strength. She had that wisdom. I graduated high school in her belly in May and was born that following September. But all the anxiety that she went through that process, I also got in the development of my synaptic nerve system.
Yes.
So I truly believe in that portion. I'm kind of a fellow scientist with you. I used to work at Park Davis, so
Yes.
I was an assistant scientist, probably not quite at that level, but I do understand, as a scientist to scientist, some things that we could actually speak of. So
Yes.
I do understand what it is that you're saying, and I do believe in it. And mental illness is a problem, and even for co-occurring disorders, and we can go down the line with that. So that's definitely a priority. Education, and then that bottom level of Maslow's hierarchy even being fulfilled. So when the child walks through the threshold of the door, they're prepared to learn.
That's right.
But not just only are they prepared to learn, we need people in those seats, the teachers and the administrators, to be diverse and inclusive enough to understand what they are dealing with. Don't grade differently because of what the child's struggle is, but only understand it enough so you know how to teach to them.
That's
It's a shame when you see kids get in older grades, they get in higher grades and they can't even read or comprehend. They're just being passed through because of their behavioral issues or whatever else may be going on. And that's not fair either. Kids are sponges, they can learn.
And that's why, what I want to do is expand early childhood education. I have a grandson, he is 3 years old, and we're already teaching him math skills and teaching him reading skills. And we got to teach our 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, math and reading skills, so that we don't have to worry about the 3rd grade math and 4th grade reading, because we train our children early in their life when they are very receptive to acquire all of that knowledge. But the mental illness and the counseling in school is so very important. And to tell you my personal story is that when my children, my boys, were 4 and 8 years old, their mother, who suffered from mental illness, passed away. And I raised my boys, 4 and 8-year-olds, as a single father. And I understand how a family suffers when a member of the family is suffering from mental illness. It weighs heavily on not only the person who's suffering, but the entire family suffers. And it's so important that we need to intervene, we need to provide, the state needs to provide the services, mental illness services. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and that's one of the things that our state lacks. We don't have enough services available to schools and to adults. And we also need to make sure that the people that are incarcerated, they get help. That I believe in giving them a second chance. And that means we need to give them the skill set, and we need to give them the vocational skills, technical skills before they leave the prison. Give them a driver's license, give them a place to stay. So when they come out of the prison, they have the skills to get a better paying job. They have a skills to take care of their family. And we want to make sure that they have the resources so they can take care of themselves and not end up back in the prison. So that's something I'm very, very passionate about, is giving those skills, giving those opportunities to the people, young people, giving those opportunities to the returning citizens, so that we lift our entire community and we help our community members.
Absolutely. So I had some involvement with the Michigan Prisoner Reentry Initiative, and I understand exactly what you're talking about, because I developed a program so that we could try to best prepare inmates to return home. But the problem was, when they returned, the resources were lacking. There's a gentleman now named Mr. Tom Adams. I don't know if you met Mr. Adams before. He has a program in the city of Detroit called Chance for Life. And so he's kind of doing some of that work. He's in about 9 prisons around the state, and he's trying to prepare them cognitively, you know, those cognitive behavioral skills, and changing the mindset to return home, and trying to prepare them to integrate with their families. I think the one piece, and him and I have talked about this, is we can prepare them to reintegrate with their families, but the family needs to be prepared to receive them. True. There's a lot of pressure on an individual, especially a man coming home, because it's like, well, I've raised these kids all this time by myself. I've done this, I've done that. And it's just this huge burden. So if they cannot acquire a skill or make a living wage, the pressure is on for them to do some things perhaps that they did before to survive.
Yes.
And so we definitely need housing. We definitely need job programs. There are some people doing it, you know, just plug into those people and partner. But whatever is missing, fill that gap. And I think a lot of it is also preparing the family to be able to embrace the individual, because they're coming back home, most of them, to the community where they broke the law.
That's right.
You know, they're coming back to that same place.
Yeah, and we need to give them the resources. It's the state's responsibility, it's the government's responsibility to create those opportunities, give them the resources. And it's a win-win situation. Otherwise, all we are doing is locking people up. You know, United States has more people incarcerated than anywhere else in the world. And, you know, we have the prison industry has become like a big business. The for-profit prisons have become a big business. And it's all about punishing people as opposed to helping them, as opposed to preventing a crime from happening, preventing a person from having a criminal history. We need to help people. We need to give them the skills, because I do believe that people want to do good for themselves. I do believe that people want to take care of their families, and often they just don't have a good skills. They haven't had the opportunities, and the systemic racism doesn't help either. And so we need to change the playing field. We need to make it a more level playing field. And that's something that I'm very passionate about.
I agree. Have you seen the documentary 13th by Ava DuVernay?
Yes, I have.
Yes, and so that is eye-opening. So if anyone on this live or anyone that's listening, if you have not seen that documentary, you should take a look at it. You know, Shri, I get upset every time I go to put license plates on my car, get my registration renewed, because I know that those license plates are made by inmates in the prison around the state. But I pay so much money for 3 vehicles. When I tell you $600-700, that's a lot of money to know that they were made for pennies on the dollar.
That's right.
And so there are so many things that we use every day as consumers that are made by inmates. And nothing's wrong with that, but be transparent with it and also be fair to them. With the compensation that you're going to give them for doing that. That's just like picking cotton to me, you know, running a plantation. And it's just not right.
It's not right.
How do you define injustice? Because we've had a lot of police brutality. We've had a lot of wrongful convictions and a lot of things going on. So how do you define injustice?
Well, you know, what the racism has done is it has created, you know, barriers for people of color. And what the system has done is punish the people without giving them opportunities, punish people without making the level playing field. To give you an example, my district is from 8 Mile to 6 Mile and from Livernois to Gratiot. So on 8 Mile, you know, we are bordering on Ferndale and Warren. And many times young people are driving. Now, the auto insurance has become so expensive that it is very difficult for people to afford auto insurance. It's hard to afford to keep up with your automobile. Transportation we don't have good public transportation. People need to go to work. And often what happens is that on this 10-mile patch on 8 Mile becomes a trap where police are, you know, stopping young people, often young people of color. And, you know, they get unfairly treated and their cars get pounded, they get tickets and fines that they can't afford. And sometimes they get put into jail without not having cash. Because of the cash bail bond, most people who can't afford it end up being in the prison for as much as 6 months, 9 months without even being convicted of anything. And so our whole system is so unfair to young people, and it sets the stage for them to fail. And I think to me, justice is level playing field. Justice means we need to give resources to the community, you know, give extra care for those who need extra help. And that's how we start, and not just policing it and locking people up. That's not a solution to our society.
I agree. I'm endorsing a candidate, Eli Savage, for Washita County prosecutor, and he wants to get rid of the cash bail system.
Yes, I do too.
I agree with that 100%. Most of the people don't have the money to put up, and you know, certain infractions is not even as necessary. They're not going to absconder or, you know, wander off. They don't even have the money to really do that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that whole system needs to be revamped. We're looking at the conviction integrity unit. We shouldn't even have that. Conviction should be made with integrity in the first place, and don't wrongfully convict individuals and stop indemnifying individuals. And I believe if a prosecutor or anyone puts someone in jail and it's wrong to do so, then they should go to jail. I think that if jail time was given to those individuals, they would take a different look and a different perspective when they're prosecuting these cases, and stop looking at them as a number or how many cases won, and looking at you're destroying someone's life by not testing a rape kit. You're destroying someone's life by not looking at all of the evidence. You're destroying someone's life by having wrongful affairs with the district attorney's office and the prosecutor's office and the attorney's office. You know, you all are in the same building. Where's the separation of duty with that? If you're all hanging out and playing together, it's hard to make a decision if personal relationships are getting in the way of your professional work.
That's
you know,
right.
so I like the fact that you said you're financing your own campaign and you're not being bought by lobbyists or big businesses. Your money that you're putting up. And so you don't owe anybody anything. You get to carry out your own agenda and do what you feel is best.
That's right.
For the people.
That's right. And, you know, we need to look at, there's a lot that we need to do to reform our criminal justice system. But one of the things that we need to look at is, offenders, non-violent offenders, locking those people up doesn't always help. And we need to find an alternate way for the non-violent offenders to, fulfill their obligation to the society. And we need to find alternate ways for them to be punished as opposed to just locking them all up. Obviously, those who are violent offenders and who are a danger to the society should be locked up. But people that are non-violent, people that have made a mistake, took a wrong step, we need to give them a second chance, and we need to give them opportunities. If you lock them up and ruin their life, then they kind of stay in that mode and they get into problems, get in the prisons, locked up, come out, and they're going back there. Same thing with the school to prison pipeline. We need to stop that school to prison pipeline. We need to keep the children in school and not throw them out on the street. We need to take care of foster kids. Often the foster kids, when they turn 18, they get on the streets and they don't have the resources to take care of their life. They take care of themselves, earn a living. And no child should be thrown on the street without giving that teenager the skills that he or she could, live a productive life, get a good paying, decent job. And so I think we need a huge reform our entire criminal justice system.
I agree. So there is an area, so at the thoroughfare of 8 Mile and Woodward, that is your district, correct?
Yeah, and that's where I live. I live at Woodward and 7 Mile.
Okay. You live by my dear friend Monica.
Yes.
Okay, so there is a place there that I call Tent City. It's under that overpass as you cross over 8 Mile to go to Ferndale. I haven't made a friend with a gentleman there. His name is Dale. Dale has been living there ever since I started my radio show. So going on 19, 20 months, let's just say.
Yeah.
I know that people who are currently the rep for that district has ridden past there. I'm sure the mayor has driven past there. And I'm sure the council person has driven past there. And it seems like no one is doing anything about that particular area. Those people have made a home of that area. They have tents up under the viaduct. But I stopped and talked to Dale. His name is Dale Almont. You probably have seen him. He used to have red hair, but he's cut it off. He said it was too hot because I try to feed him. I try to give him food. I try to give him money. Every time I leave the station, WHPR in Highland Park is where my show airs. So I see him every week. What do you think you can do, or what is your plan to do something about that situation?
Well, we
in Detroit.
I think we have. I've heard a number somewhere around 16 or 18,000 homeless people in the city of Detroit. And many of them, their issue really, many of them suffer and have some more than 50% of the homeless people have some kind of a mental illness, uh, which doesn't get treated, that they don't get help. And, we have so many empty, abandoned buildings, and if we can help them with some food and give them some place to live, be able to take a hot shower, give them medication or help in counseling, whatever they need in terms of mental illness, some of these people, be able to live a better life, will be able to recover, and we owe it to them. I think we owe it to our society. We are a wealthy nation. We are the richest nation in the world. We spend billions and trillions of dollars on defense, and Pentagon spends what, $800 billion is their budget. And yet, we have people that are living on the street. We have people in my district, the zip code 48205 is one of the zip code in my district, and it is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the whole United States. And the federal government needs to step in and try to help our communities that are suffering. And we certainly need to help remove the blight. We certainly need to make our neighborhoods safer. We certainly need to address the issues of crime in our neighborhood. And I think it is important. It is important that we deal with this in a humane way. And a capitalistic society like United States with so much wealth must not have this economic disparity. And it is about time that we make a level playing field for all of our people.
I agree, because I was watching on one of the very frigid days that we had in the city of Detroit, one of the days where the homeless shelters will send out the vans to go and pick people up off the street. And I recall sitting at home watching on the news where the van was sent to pick up Dale, and they had a news reporter with them, and he refused the ride. He refused to go to the shelter, and people were judging. But the reason why is because he has that generalized social anxiety disorder, and he cannot stand being around multiple people closed up in a shelter. He would rather survive on the street physically than to survive in a shelter mentally. And I was just repulsed by the judging that people were doing to say, well, he must not be that bad off. He didn't get in the van or whatever. You don't know what other people are going through. I do. That's my friend. I stop and I talk to him. I know that he has generalized anxiety disorder. I haven't found out if he's a veteran yet, but I know that's the reason why he refused that ride.
Yes.
And so mental illness does have a lot to do with the reason why people are on the street.
It does. It does. And many of them are veterans. Many of them have taken risk with their own life to keep our country safe and peaceful. And we owe it to the veterans, we owe it to our citizens to provide them the services that they need. And I think mental illness is almost the number one cause. And that's something that we need to address before we address many other issues.
I agree. What would you like people to know about you?
Well, people look at me and look at my financial success and they think, oh, he's a multimillionaire. But I grew up poor, and that's who I am. Till I was 24 years old, I lived in poverty. I lived in my family. I have 4 sisters and a brother, and my mom and dad. So 8 of us lived in a small 900 square foot home with just a roof on it. The roof leaked when it rained outside. My home did not had running water. Even the bathroom was in the backyard, uh, 50 feet away from the main house. We slept on the floor. We ate on the floor. So I understand the struggles people have. I've dealt with mental illness in my own family. So people think that the success that I later on obtained, that's who I am. But it's not that. It's I understand the struggles, and the purpose I want to be in politics is to be of service, to be able to help people, because I feel it's my obligation to give back. And I'm grateful to the United States. I love this country of ours, and I have gotten opportunities, and I think we need to create opportunities for others, because I lived my American dream, and to me an American dream is that our children have a better life, more opportunities than we as parents have. And that American dream is fading all across America. And that American dream is fading more so in Michigan, more so in Detroit than any other place in America. And we need to create level playing field. We need to create opportunities. Our young people today are demoralized. Our young people have lost the confidence that they can make something happen. And a lot of the reason behind the crime is because our young people do not feel that they are part of the society. They feel that they don't have the skills to survive. They don't have the opportunities, and they have not been treated in a fair manner. And the systemic racism, the poverty, the prevalent of mental illness in our society, has impacted certain parts of our country. And it's important for a nation as wealthy as we are that we take care of our people. And then we close this gap from the people who are rich and ultra rich and the people who are poor and ultra poor. We need to close that gap, and we need to create a place where people can live with dignity and respect. And that's an obligation. That's a moral obligation we as United States citizens have. And that's what I would be focusing on as the next state representative for the 3rd District in Detroit.
Well, thank you so much. I do not reside in your district. I am in District 10. But if I was, you would certainly have my vote, and I don't care who has anything to say about it. I don't believe, I'm not a card carrying Democrat or Republican. I vote for people who I feel can handle the job, that have the right morals, values, and integrity for the job. And that's who I cast my vote for. So I want to thank you. That's all the questions that I have. Do you have anything that you want to say before we end the live?
Well, we need to assert our power through exercising our democratic right to vote. And I appeal to all of your viewers to exercise their right to vote. I know people have been, disappointed with the political system, and often they have given up. But we really need to assert our rights through the process of voting, electing people that we trust in and who can make a difference in our society. And I urge people to, those who have gotten absentee ballots, make sure you send your absentee ballots. When you send your absentee ballots, make sure that you sign. There is a place to sign at the back of the envelope. Make sure you sign. If you don't sign, your vote will become invalid. So exercise your right. If you do not want to go on election day on August 4th, you can go to the clerk's office. There are several places where you can go and do early voting, like Farwell Community Center, or you can go to Northwest Activity Center and do exercise your vote all of this week, all of next week. So ensure that you vote. I think I would like to see a high percentage of Detroit residents exercise their right to vote.
I agree with you. We're doing a show on August the 3rd. I'm calling it the ballot or the bullet. So, you know, we definitely need to stress the importance of voting. A lot of people, especially millennials, have given up
Yes.
on that system. They truly believe that their vote does not count, that their voices are not heard. And we definitely have to change that narrative.
We definitely need to. And those who live in the 3rd district, I would appeal to you to consider voting for Shri Thanedar as your next state representative. You know, I'm ready to serve. I'm here to serve. And I need your vote. I need your support so that we can together. I alone cannot do this. No one alone can do a big change. We need to work together, all of us. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to work with you to make all of our lives better.
I agree. And as I said, it's a couple of areas that you mentioned on your platform that I'm very well experienced in. So I would love to work with you on those areas, and I would be a good accountability partner because I can call you out too.
Yes.
Like, hey,
Yeah,
that's not good.
You need to. If I make a mistake, I want the residents of my district to point that out to me. And I will always listen, and I will always be accessible, not only before the election, but more importantly, I'll be accessible to my constituents after the election, because this is the job about service. This is all about service, and I will be there for my residents. I may not always agree with, but I will always listen to the residents of my district.
I love that, because I say we must learn how to agree to disagree. That doesn't happen very often in politics. It becomes a wrestling match, and, you know, people want to bring each other down, and it just becomes a mess. So I just feel like you don't have to like, understand, or agree with anything Shri says or does, but you owe him respect.
Yes.
And I think the basic principle of that is respect. And regardless if you serve a power higher than yourself or not, and if you do whatever you call it, the basic premise of that is love. So if we could just have love and respect, we could go a long way.
Amen to that.
A long way. Shri, thank you so much for this time. I appreciate it. And we are done. So as I generally state at the end of my show, you have been listening to a Facebook Live with Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream. It is not a show where I try to spill the tea or make you feel dazed like you've drank a cheap shot of liquor. I just want you to see things from a different perspective. And tonight, that was mine and Shri's.
Yeah. Good night.
Yep. Thank you all for tuning in, and good night.
Good night, and God bless you all.
Thank you.